It was a quiet evening in the small town of Elmswood. The sky was painted orange and purple as the sun slowly went down. Children played in the park, laughing and running around. Birds flew across the sky, and everything felt peaceful. 10-year-old Jake was riding his bicycle along the trail near the trees. His backpack bounced on his back, and his dog, Max, barked happily while running beside him. Jake loved this time of day. No school, no homework, just freedom. Suddenly, a loud sound came from above. It was like a whistle mixed with a roar. Jake looked up and saw a small, glowing object falling from the sky. It moved fast, too fast, and then, boom, it crashed just ahead of him. Near the forest path, dust and leaves flew everywhere, and Jake had to stop quickly before he could react. Something even stranger happened. From the smoke, a tiny figure on a bicycle rolled out fast and hit him. Both of them fell to the ground. Jake groaned and sat up, holding his elbow. The other rider was even smaller than him, wearing glowing clothes that blinked with soft blue light. She looked like a girl, but her eyes were too big, and her skin had a light shimmer. Her bike was not a normal bike. It floated slightly above the ground and made no sound. Jake stared at her in shock. She looked back, breathing fast, her eyes wide with fear. She spoke something, but it didn't sound like English. It was a strange language. It's full of soft clicks and musical notes. Jake didn't understand, but he could feel one thing. She was scared. Max barked loudly and circled her. She shrank back, holding out a small, glowing cube. Suddenly, Max stopped barking and sat down, quiet, as if hypnotized. Jake stood up slowly, brushing off dirt. Who are you?" he asked. She didn't answer, but her eyes focused on his phone. Jake took it out and held it up. The girl reached forward, placed 2 fingers on the screen. In seconds, the screen blinked with strange symbols, then returned to normal. She looked back at Jake and whispered, "Human boy." Jake's heart skipped a beat. You can talk now?" he asked. She nodded, though unsure, and looked up at the sky. "They come," she said, her voice shaking. "Who comes?" Jake asked, confused and worried. She turned her head fast, scanning the trees. "Bad ones. I crash, they follow, hide." Me? Jake couldn't believe what was happening. This girl wasn't human. She was an alien, and she had just crashed here. He looked around, but no one else was nearby. The park was still noisy, but this part of the trail was quiet and hidden. Jake made a quick decision. "Come with me," he said, grabbing his bike. "My house is nearby. I'll hide you." The girl hesitated, then slowly followed, pushing her broken floating bike. It sparked softly, its lights fading. Max trotted beside them, calm but alert. They walked quickly through a narrow path that led to Jake's backyard. In the corner of his yard stood an old treehouse. Jake climbed up first, then helped her in. Inside was dusty but safe. No one came here except him. She sat on the floor and hugged her knees. Jake offered her a water bottle, and she looked at it curiously after watching him drink. She copied him, sipping carefully. "What's your name?" he asked. She paused, then said, "Eula." "Okay, Eula." Jake said, "Why did you come here?" Eula stared out the small window, then turned to Jake. "My people watch your world," she said slowly. "Some fear you, some want peace. I choose peace." Jake's eyes widened. "Wait, you were sent to spy on us?" he asked. "Not spy," she said. "Understand, learn, maybe trust." A loud noise came from the distance, like a hum mixed with a metallic hiss. Eula's body shook, and she pressed her hand to her chest. "My time's short," she whispered. "They track signal. They come soon." Jake peeked outside, but he saw nothing yet. Still, something felt wrong. The wind had stopped. The air felt heavy. Max growled softly, ears up, staring into the trees. "Eula, Are they dangerous? Jake asked. Eula's eyes filled with fear. They do not ask questions, they only take, she said. Jake nodded. Then I'll protect you. Eula looked at him, surprised. You would help Alien. Jake smiled nervously. I guess I already am, then. The sky flashed red for a second. Just a blink. Jake wasn't sure if he imagined it. But Eula saw it too, and her voice dropped to a whisper. They are here. Asterisk the night wrapped around. The town like a heavy blanket, clouds hid the stars, and the wind carried a strange silence inside the treehouse. Jake couldn't sleep, neither could Eula, who sat cross-legged, glowing faintly in the dark. Her eyes stayed wide open, always alert, always listening. Jake sat across from her, holding a flashlight. Its soft light flickered as if nervous too. He had 1,000 questions in his head, but one question burned stronger than the rest. What? Are you really? Jake asked, voice low. Eula looked down at her hand. She rubbed her fingers together until they sparked. Then she opened her palm, revealing small lights running under her skin like stars. I was made, but I am also born, she said. Jake tilted his head, confused. You mean you're half robot? She nodded. My mind is mine, but my body is borrowed, built to survive the journey. Jake leaned forward. Who sent you here? Eula took a deep breath. The lights on her arms blinking slowly. My people, the Kirel. We watch from far, she explained. They fear your kind. Jake frowned. Why? We're not that scary. Eula gave him a strange look. You build weapons that can erase mountains, she said. You fight each other over colors. Land belief. But, she added, looking into his eyes, you also protect love. Create, even when afraid. Jake went quiet. No one had ever talked to him like that before. She made humans sound like puzzles, dangerous but beautiful. He felt a strange pride rise in his chest, mixed with worry. Why did you crash? He asked. Eula's face darkened. They followed me. Not supposed to, but they did. Jake sat up straight. Who? She whispered. The extractors, the name alone, gave Jake chills. They come to collect what they don't understand, Eula said. They take life, break it, study it. Her voice shook as she spoke. I ran, my ship broke. I took the bike. Jake blinked. You escaped aliens. On a bike. Eula nodded seriously. Small, fast, fits Earth roads. Jake smiled for a second. Even aliens had wild backup plans. Suddenly, Max barked from below, one sharp sound. Jake crawled to the window and peeked out in the dark yard. Something moved. Not a person, not an animal. It shimmered like oil and slid across the ground. Jake pulled back, heart pounding. They're here, Eula said, her voice cold and calm. Not yet, Jake whispered, trying to think. Treehouse is too close. We need to hide you somewhere better. Eula pointed to the flashlight. Give me. Jake handed it to her. And she touched the back of it. Suddenly, it projected a soft blue map into the air. Jake gasped. You can do that with a flashlight? She ignored the question, tracing her finger over the image. This town has power grids. Signal lines, water paths, she said. Then she tapped a glowing spot under the image. Here, she said, an old building under school, not used. Full of metal, good shield. Jake stared, surprised. How do you know this? I downloaded the area when I touched your phone, she said. Jake nodded slowly, still amazed. Okay, we go there tomorrow. First light. Eula looked at him seriously. You still want to help me? Jake didn't hesitate. Yes, she leaned back, thinking most adults would not, she said. Adults ask too many questions. Jake replied, and they never believe anything weird. A small smile touched Eula's lips. Then I chose the right one, she said softly. Jake felt something change in that moment. She wasn't just an alien girl anymore. She was someone real, someone brave, someone alone, suddenly. The treehouse creaked. Both of them froze. Max growled again, but then went quiet. A red light blinked in the sky for just 1 second. Then vanished. Eula closed her eyes. "They are scanning," she whispered. "But I am still hidden." Jake watched her glowing skin dim slightly. "You're hurt, aren't you?" She nodded. "My core cracked during crash." She said, "If not repaired, I." "Stop." Jake's stomach twisted. "No," he said. "We'll fix you." Eula looked down, her voice softer than before. "Not many days left," she said. "But I want to see more." Outside, the night held its breath, somewhere beyond the trees. The extractors searched, but for now, in this tiny wooden box above a sleeping town. A boy and a broken star sat side by side, and tomorrow, their real journey would begin. The next morning, Elmswood looked normal, but something was wrong in the air. The sun rose like always, birds sang like always, yet the shadows seemed darker, longer, and in those shadows, something was watching. Jake walked through the back gate. With his backpack, inside, it was a blanket, some food, a flashlight, and Eula. She had shrunk her body using some kind of tech. Curling herself into a glowing orb, Jake had no idea how it worked, but she promised it was safe. They had only one goal today: reach the old underground room under the school. He didn't ride his bike this time. He walked slowly, carefully, avoiding cameras and open spaces. Eula's voice spoke inside his head through the tiny earpiece she gave him. "I feel them," she said. "They are close." Jake's heart beat faster with every step. "How close?" He whispered. "Very," she replied. "One is following." Jake stopped in the middle of the street, pretending to tie his shoe. He glanced back. At first, nothing. Then a man in a long brown coat, standing still near a tree. He wore dark glasses and didn't blink. Jake stood up and walked faster. The man didn't move, but Jake felt the weight of his stare. Inside the backpack, Eula whispered, "He is not human." Jake turned down an alley and took a shortcut through a field. He didn't stop until he reached the school's back wall. The building was closed for summer break. No teachers, number students, no questions. They entered through a loose metal gate. Jake crawled under a broken window. He was shaking, but Eula whispered, "You are doing good." That helped. A little. The school halls were silent, covered in dust and cobwebs. Old chairs and boxes blocked the hallway. Jake led them down into the basement where the lights no longer worked. He turned on the flashlight, its beam shaking slightly. "This way," Eula said in his ear. They reached a metal door behind some broken lockers. Jake pushed it open with effort, and inside was a cold, forgotten room. Old machines lined the walls and thick pipes ran across the ceiling. "This is it," she said, her voice a little brighter. "Good metal here. It blocks their scan." Jake placed the backpack down and opened it. Eula unfolded herself back into normal size, glowing faintly in the dark. She walked slowly, touching the walls. Then placed a small device in the center of the floor. It blinked 3 times, then projected a soft blue field across the room. "We are safe here," she said, "for now." Jake sat on the floor, exhausted. "I didn't think aliens would be this stressful," he said. Eula gave him a strange look. "We are not the stressful ones," she said. "Your world is loud." They shared a quiet moment. Then Jake asked, "What are the extractors really?" Eula sat beside him, her glow dimming a little. "They were once scientists," she said. "They wanted to learn about life across the stars. But they lost patience. They stopped asking, started taking. Now they hunt anything strange, including me." Jake looked down, his fists clenched. "They won't take you," he said. Eula placed a hand on his. "You are brave, for one so young." Suddenly, the blue shield flickered. Eula jumped to her feet, eyes wide. "No," she whispered. "They found us." A loud thump echoed from upstairs, then another. Closer. Something heavy was moving through the school. Something that didn't walk, it crawled. Jake grabbed the flashlight, heart racing. "What do we do?" he asked. Eula ran to her backpack and pulled out a small metal sphere. "If they break through the shield, use this," she said. "Throw it at their core, not their body." Before Jake could ask what that meant, the ceiling cracked dust. Fell down like rain. Red lights blinked through the crack, then an arm slithered down. It wasn't skin, it wasn't metal. It was something in between. It reached across the ceiling, searching blindly. Jake threw the sphere as hard as he could. It hit the arm and exploded in a flash of blue light. The thing screamed a deep, electric sound that made the wall shake. Then it vanished, sucked backward like smoke in a vacuum. The ceiling fell silent again. Eula quickly repaired the shield using another cube. Jake stood frozen, breathing hard. "You saved us," Eula said. Jake didn't feel like a hero. He felt scared, small, and very, very real. "What do they want?" "From you?" he asked again. Eula looked up at him, eyes full of fear. "They want my code," she said. "If they get it, they can open the gate." Jake stepped back, confused. "What gate?" Eula's glow turned red. "The one buried under your world. The one that leads to mine." Asterisk, the world was never quiet again. Not for Jake, after facing the shadow creature in the school basement. Every sound felt sharper, every silence heavier, and now he knew why. A gate. Hidden beneath their world, one that connected Earth to an alien galaxy. Eula stood near the broken machines, her glow shifting between blue and red. Jake could tell she was scared, but something in her had also changed. She wasn't just a scared visitor anymore, she was ready to finish her mission. Jake crossed his arms, still trying to understand it all. "So, there's a gate buried somewhere under Earth." Eula nodded. "Deep under mountain, built long ago by travelers." Jake frowned. "By your people?" "No," she said. "By someone older, someone gone." She walked over to the shield device and touched it. A large map appeared in the air again. Spinning gently, she zoomed in until a tall, jagged mountain filled the projection. It was a few hours north of Elmswood. Covered in forests and clouds, Jake recognized it from school trips. They called it Black Rock Peak. Eula pointed to a glowing dot under it there, she said. "The gate sleeps." Jake stared at it, feeling both small and important at once. What happens if the extractors get there first? Eula looked at him with calm fear. "They will open it by force. If they do, the sky will bleed." Jake didn't fully understand what that meant, but he understood enough. They had to get there first. 2 hours later, the van shook as it rolled over a bumpy road. Jake's older sister, Emily, sat behind the wheel, chewing gum and glancing nervously at Eula in the passenger seat. "I still don't believe this is real," she said. "You brought an alien home, and now we're going to some secret mountain base?" Jake sat in the back with Max, holding Eula's broken bike. "It's real," he said. "Too real." Eula touched the van's dashboard, and the engine made a new humming sound, smoother than before. Emily blinked. "Okay. That's not normal." Jake smiled a little. Eula could fix almost anything except the fear chasing them. Suddenly, Eula's skin flashed red. She turned toward the window. "They track us again," she said. Emily gripped the wheel tighter. "How?" "We're off-grid. They follow my energy," Eula replied. "But I changed my pulse. We have time." They drove into the forest roads, the trees growing thicker and taller. The sky above them turned gray as they reached the mountains. Edge, a hidden trail led them to an old metal gate covered in vines. "This is it," Eula said, stepping out. Jake followed, eyes wide. There were no signs. No fences, just nature, hiding a secret older than human history. Eula walked ahead, her glow lighting the way. She pressed her hand to a large rock, and it melted into a silver door. It opened slowly with a low hum, revealing stairs made of black stone. They entered, one step at a time. The air inside was cold and smelled like rain on metal. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Jake traced one with his fingers. "It's a warning," Eula said. "It says, gate must never open without balance." As they reached the bottom, they entered a giant circular chamber. In the center stood a structure shaped like a ring, 10 feet tall and pulsing with soft light. "The gate," Jake whispered. Eula nodded. Walking to a control panel near it, "This device speaks to stars," she said. "Connects mind to sky." Emily looked around nervously. "So what now?" Jake turned to Eula. "Can you activate it?" "I can," she said, "but only with my code. And if they force it open without code, they break it forever." Jake stepped back, trying to think. "Then we stay here and protect it." But before anyone could speak again, the ring of the gate pulsed red. A sound like thunder filled the room. Eula's face turned pale. "They are here," she whispered. "Too soon." A hole opened in the ceiling, and black smoke poured in. Then came a figure, tall, silent, wearing human skin but with eyes like glass. One of the extractors. Jake grabbed the flashlight, but Eula held out her hand. "No," she said. "He's not like the others." The figure stepped forward and spoke in perfect English. "My name is Kale," it said. "I do not wish to harm." Emily raised her eyebrows. "Really? You guys sent a death arm through a school ceiling." Kale's glass eyes blinked once. "I am different," he said. "I want to help you stop the others." Jake stepped forward carefully. "Why would you help us?" Kale looked at the gate, and then at Eula. "Because if they open that without her, they won't just find her world, they'll find mine." The gate hummed like it was dreaming. Soft lights swirled around the ring, pulsing with a rhythm that didn't belong to Earth. It looked beautiful, almost alive, but something darker had entered the room, something that wore a friendly face. Jake stood between Eula and the strange figure named Kale. Emily held a crowbar behind her back, just in case. Max growled low, the sound deep and steady. Eula's lights flickered nervously. Kale raised both hands slowly. "I mean no harm," he said. "I broke from the extractor hive years ago. I've seen what they do and what they plan." Jake glanced at Eula. She didn't speak. But her expression said everything. She didn't trust him. Not yet. "What do they want?" Jake asked. Kale's glass eyes shifted toward the gate. "They want power," he said. "The kind that only comes from connecting to galaxies without balance. Your gate is special. It doesn't just open space, it opens minds." Emily narrowed her eyes. "And what do you want?" Kale looked at Eula, then Jake. "To stop them," he said, "but I can't do it alone." There was silence, deep and uncomfortable. Then Eula stepped forward. "If you're lying, I will know," she said. Kale didn't flinch, then asked. "Your question?" Eula touched her palm to his chest. For a few seconds, both of them glowed her blue light. His silver one. Jake felt the air change, like time slowed down. Then Eula pulled away, blinking fast. "He speaks truth," she said softly. Jake felt relief and worry mix inside him. So they had a new ally, but that didn't mean they were safe. Not yet. 1 hour later, the chamber beneath the mountain had become their shelter. Kale helped Eula repair the damaged panels. Jake and Emily watched the gate closely, afraid it might suddenly come alive. Eula worked fast, but Jake noticed Something strange. She was weaker, moving slower, her glow flickering. He pulled her aside. "Are you okay?" She nodded, but didn't meet his eyes. "My core is fading," she said. "No power left to return home." Jake's throat tightened. There has to be a way. Eula looked up at the gate. "Maybe," she whispered, "if I transfer part of the code into the gate, I can open it, but I may not survive the jump." Before Jake could respond, Max barked sharply. Emily turned fast. "Someone's coming," she said, but it was too late. The chamber door exploded inward. Smoke filled the air, and tall shadows stormed in. Extractors, the real ones, fully formed. Moving like a flood of metal and shadow. "Get behind me," Kale shouted, throwing up a shimmering wall of light. The extractors slammed into it, hissing and clawing like insects in human skin. Jake looked around for Eula. She was gone. "Eula," he yelled. Then he saw her standing near the gate, hands on the console, typing something fast. "No," Kale said. "It's too early," but Eula kept going. "I have to try," she said. Before they rewrite the gate, Kale turned to Jake. "She's giving up her code," he said. "She's making the ultimate key." Jake ran toward her, but a loud sound stopped him. Someone behind him shouted, "Don't move." He turned and his heart broke. It was his best friend, Liam, holding a strange weapon. Behind Liam stood a woman in black, smiling coldly, an extractor in disguise. "You brought them here?" Jake asked, shocked. Liam looked guilty but firm. "They said I'd get answers, that I'd be part of something bigger. They said she was dangerous." Eula turned slowly, her expression full of quiet sadness. "They always say that," she said. "When they want control." The woman raised a device and pointed it at the gate. "Thank you for leading us to it," she said to Jake. Kale stepped in front of her, arms raised. "You open that gate without her balance, and you'll destroy both sides." She smiled wider, then let them burn. Eula pressed one final button. The gate pulsed with light, white, then gold, then silent black. Everything froze, even the air. Then a sound came, deep and endless, like the sky cracking. Jake screamed, "Y-U-L-A." But she was already falling, her glow dimming, her body collapsing near the ring. The gate flickered, alive, unstable, waiting, and the extractors stepped forward, ready to claim it. The world stood still, not just in the mountain chamber, but inside Jake's heart. Time seemed to bend. The air felt heavier than gravity. Eula's glowing body lay near the gate, motionless, her light flickering like a dying star. The ring above her was no longer silent. It spun slowly now, humming with wild energy, pulsing like a heart that didn't know if it wanted to live or explode. Kale stood frozen, a beam of blue light burning across his chest from the extractor's weapon. He dropped to one knee, sparks falling from his back. Emily held Max behind a broken pillar, her eyes wide with shock. Liam, the betrayer, looked like he regretted everything, but it was too late for apologies. The female extractor, still smiling, stepped toward the gate. Her voice echoed with two tones, one calm, one mechanical. "So much pain for one doorway," she said, "yet humans still guard it with loyalty." Jake clenched his fists. He stepped forward, past Kale's fallen form, past the fear in his chest. "You don't deserve what's on the other side," he said. She tilted her head, amused. "And who decides that? A boy who plays hero." Jake knelt beside Eula, placing a hand on her shoulder. Her skin was cold, but her eyes fluttered open, just a little. She whispered something only he could hear. "Use my code." Jake looked confused. "But you said," she gave a weak smile. "Your mind is strong. Gate will listen." The gate pulsed again, reacting to her voice. The extractors moved closer, but something shifted in the air. The gate was choosing. not them. Him. Suddenly, Kale stood up again, barely. Holding himself together, he threw a glowing disc toward the extractors. It exploded mid-air, covering them in white static. They screamed, voices glitching, and staggered back. "Now, Jake," Kale shouted, "touch the core." Jake didn't understand what that meant until he looked at the gate. In the center of the ring, a swirling light waited. It reached out like it knew him. He stepped forward and placed his hand inside it. Instantly, the world vanished. Inside the gate, Jake floated through a place made of memory, sound, and feeling. He saw Eula's childhood stars, machines, a world of light and crystal. He saw Earth, two cities full of noise, kindness, war, music, and fire. He felt everything at once, the hope of two worlds and the fear that bears that. Connected them then, the gate spoke, not with words, but with understanding. It asked one question: are they ready? Jake didn't know if it meant humans or Eula's people, or both, but he answered with his heart. Yes. The gate flashed white, and then silence. Back in the chamber, the extractors fell to their knees, howling in pain as the light grew too bright. Then they vanished, not destroyed, but pulled back, erased from Earth like dust and wind. The ring stopped spinning. Eula gasped and sat up. Her glow returning slowly, Jake collapsed beside her. Exhausted but alive, Kale stepped forward. His body cracked, but still working. "You did it," he said. "The gate accepted you." Eula looked at Jake, her voice soft and full of wonder. "You opened it." With truth, Jake didn't fully understand how, but he had passed a test older than Earth itself. Emily helped him to his feet. "You okay?" Jake nodded. "Just..." Tired of saving the galaxy, they all laughed. Just a little. Even Max wagged his tail. Then the gate shimmered again, but this time, gently. A figure appeared in the ring. Tall, made of light, neither human nor Kirill. A watcher of the gate. It spoke in a voice that sounded like wind and music. "The link has been made," it said, "from now on. Your world is seen." Eula stood tall, her light strong once more. "My people will come," she said, "but not for war. For peace." Jake smiled. "That's good," he said. "Because Earth already has enough problems," and behind them, the gate pulsed like a heartbeat. Not just a door, but a promise. The gate had closed, but its echo lived on, not in the sky, not in the ground, but in the hearts of those who touched it. Jake sat on the rooftop of his house, watching the stars blink into view. The night was peaceful again, but it no longer felt small. He had touched something beyond the stars, and it had changed him. The world below continued as if nothing had happened, but Jake knew better. Eula was gone. Not gone like a goodbye, gone like a spark returning to the fire it came from. She stood at the gate one last time, her hand resting on Jake's shoulder. "You helped me see what they couldn't," she said. "You showed me what your people are." He had wanted her to stay, but he didn't ask, because he knew. Some stories are too big to end in one world. She stepped into the light, and just before it closed, she turned and smiled. That smile stayed with him, even now. 3 years later, Jake was no longer a kid who hid aliens in his treehouse. He was now 17, working in a small science lab near the mountains. No one knew the truth. No one believed stories about glowing girls and sky gates, and that was okay, because Jake wasn't waiting for belief. He was building something, a signal device. Based on Eula's tech, every night he sent a message across the stars. Just for words, over and over again, we remember. We wait. The scientists thought it was a deep space scan. But Jake knew what it really was, a message for her, somewhere. Far away on a planet made of silver trees and glass oceans, Eula stood before a council of Kirel elders. They asked her one question: are humans a threat? She didn't speak at first. She simply opened her palm, revealing a small orb, glowing, warm, still alive. Inside it was Jake's final message. Pulsing like a heartbeat, she looked up and said, "They are not perfect, but they protect. What matters? They break what they love and then fight to fix it. They fear the unknown, but still reach for it in all their chaos. They still choose kindness." One elder leaned forward. "And you believe they are ready?" Eula smiled. "I believe. They're becoming ready." Back on Earth, it was midnight. And Jake sat by the old treehouse, now worn down and covered in vines. Max was older now, slower, but still sat beside him like a loyal shadow. The stars were unusually bright tonight. And then, one of them blinked. Not twinkled, not moved, blinked. Jake stood up slowly. Then another blinked. Then a line of stars curved gently, like writing in the sky. It formed one word, not in English. But he understood it. Soon, Jake laughed quietly. "She kept my number," he whispered, above him. The stars rearranged again, forming a symbol only two people in the universe would recognize. The crest of the curl, and beside it, a small earth. Drawn in light, Max barked, tail wagging. Jake looked up, eyes full of wonder. "She's coming back," he said. "Next time, I'll be ready." The wind moved softly through the trees. And the sky held a secret, glowing quietly, like a promise.